Tanse, I'm Grassy Narrows. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. The Alberta Fish and Wildlife Enforcement Services, or FWES, has charged 5 people with 34 offences under Alberta's Wildlife Act and 9 charges under Canada's Criminal Code for the poaching and killing of eagles and birds of prey in First Nations near Calgary. Here's a brief report. The 5 people charged includes American Simon Paul of Montana, Teresa and Eli Snow of Morley, Alberta, and James Britton and Sophia Soriano of Calgary. Simon Paul was previously wanted in the U.S. for multiple charges related to killing birds of prey in Montana and failed to appear in court. Then in August of last year, the FWES's undercover unit received a report that Paul fled to Canada and was residing with Teresa Snow in Stoney Nakoda, located just west of Calgary. Last November, more reports came in of Paul actively killing eagles in Stoney Nakoda and Eden Valley First Nations. Paul, Snow, and Britton then allegedly sold items like a bald eagle feather headdress, black bear claw necklaces, and a raptor talon dance stick. Paul and Eli Snow was also caught allegedly shooting eagles and hawks from their truck near Cochrane just last March. After search warrants were obtained, the FWES found freshly removed eagle feet with talons, feathers, blood, and other raptor parts, as well as unsecured firearms. Both the RCMP and the Stoney Nation Police Service were also instrumental in the investigation. In a statement, Mike Ellis, Alberta's Minister of Public Safety, said, "Poaching is a crime that robs our province of wildlife that is central to the lives and livelihoods of many Albertans. I commend the dedication and hard work of Alberta Fish and Wildlife officers, along with our law enforcement partners, into these investigations to put an end to these illegal activities and help conserve and protect Alberta's wildlife." Paul, who is from St. Ignatius in Montana, along with another poacher, Travis Branson, have both been previously charged in the U.S. for illegally killing 3,600 birds and selling illegal bird parts and feathers on the black market between 2015 and 2021. If convicted, Paul could face up to 11 years in a U.S. prison. Grassy Narrows, APTN National News, Winnipeg. Reg Fountain, the Director of Emergency Management for the Stoney Nakoda Nations, says the First Nation is very relieved that poachers were caught. Have a listen.
The poaching of any animal is disgusting to me. But when you're poaching animals that are considered sacred in the traditions of the Nakoda, the people of the mountains, that's sacrilegious. That goes against everything in terms of respect, in terms of accepting the culture. The lands of the Nakoda, like the lands of any other First Nation in Canada, are sovereign territory to the people of that nation. And they will be protected by the people of the nation. The flora, the fauna, the ecosystem are considered sacred, and therefore we will work with the Nakoda to ensure the safety and security of their lands.
An update now on the missing persons investigation into Samuel Bird, the First Nation teenager missing from West Edmonton since June 1st. The Edmonton Police Service says they have executed a search warrant on a home that could be related to Samuel's disappearance, but they aren't releasing any other information at this time. Bird, who is 14, left his home in West Edmonton on the night of June 1st with a friend and never came home. Police have called Bird's disappearance suspicious. His mother told APTN News in July that she received disturbing videos of her son being beaten with weapons, videos that she has since sent to the Edmonton Police Service. Volunteers have been using the Dawson Park boat launch as a command post to continue searching the river valley for Samuel Bird. And Indigenous youth have been very vocal on social media, calling for anyone who knows what happened to Samuel to come forward. For the first time ever, the Manitoba First Nations Police Service is launching the use of body cameras on their officers. Officers have started wearing the cameras while working in the Opaskwayak Cree Nation, 520 kilometers northwest of Winnipeg. The MFNPS says the technology will increase transparency, provide valuable evidence for investigations, and ensure both the officers and community are protected. Plans are also underway to expand the use of body cameras to all other MF and PS detachments in the coming months. Meanwhile, the RCMP in Manitoba says they are still training their officers on the cameras and expect to start using them sometime soon.
Every interaction with the public will be recorded, including traffic stops, calls for service, and just general public interactions. The body cam is one of many tools that we use in our investigations and will assist us. Officers use video and audio recordings to maintain a level of transparency and to show an entire situation exactly how it unfolded. Afternoon, sir. License registration, please.
Yep.
The body cam records footage which then goes through a secure portal, and at that point it's uploaded to our secure servers on essentially the cloud, where officers are then able to review footage.
A member of the Grassy Narrows First Nation is still looking for answers from the Government of Ontario regarding mercury poisoning in her community. The First Nation in Northern Ontario has been dealing with the impacts of mercury in the English Wabigoon River system for decades, which came from a nearby paper mill.
I want to know when you're going to help my people. When are you going to compensate my people?
Folks, we're going to continue investing. We're announcing
In my community, my people are dying because of it.
Chrissy Isaacs took her concerns directly to Premier Doug Ford this week as he attended an event in the Niagara region. In a video shared on social media, the community member and advocate can be seen shouting questions at Premier Ford as she is led out of the event by security. Ford continued his speech as Isaacs was escorted out. Isaacs says she has waited years to confront the Premier and her emotions were running high.
Our community's been fighting this for so long. Like, yes, the other day after that happened, I was just thinking about, how my grandfather, he was poisoned by mercury, my mother, me, my children, and my grandchildren, so that's like 5 generations of us being poisoned. And like, how could he ignore, that question? How could he just keep brushing off Grassy Narrows that way?
Isaacs and other members of Grassy Narrows First Nation are demanding fair compensation for the community, as well as support for the restoration of lands and waters impacted by mercury poisoning. The Montreal Police Department are looking for witnesses and potential victims after 54-year-old Mark Pomerantz was arrested in early August and charged for sexual assault. The investigative team says it has reason to believe that there may be more victims within the Indigenous community. If you or someone you know has been a victim or witness to acts allegedly committed by Mark Pomerantz, the Montreal Police would like to speak with you. Mark Pomerantz is 54 years old and speaks English. He is 5'7" and weighs 180 pounds and has brown hair, hazel eyes, and drives a black truck. Investigators have reason to believe he may have had other victims from Indigenous communities who traveled to Montreal. If you have any information, you can call the sexual assault hotline at 514-799-7225. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to the police, you can contact an organization that serves the community in Montreal. Chief Inspector David Shane of the Montreal Police Service shares the alleged events following up to Pomerantz's arrest. Have a listen.
Well, August 8th in Dorval, near the Dorval Circle, the suspect allegedly approached the victim, offered her a lift, and then brought her to an isolated area where he allegedly sexually abused her, then left her there and left.
With colder nights and winter approaching, the leader of the Bear Clan patrol in Edmonton, Judith Gale, told APTN News that she is concerned about homeless people on the streets. Last year, 381 homeless people died in Edmonton. Another 300 were hospitalized for frostbite. Gale patrols the streets, helping with food and supplies. She is asking the city of Edmonton to find shelter for those who need it most before the temperatures decrease even further. And she wants the Edmonton police to treat homeless people with dignity and compassion.
Nobody should be given a life sentence where brothers and sisters in wheelchairs and amputees aren't able to get themselves out of their addictions or out of poverty because now they're limbless and aren't able to work in mainstream society. So it's just nonsensical. It makes better sense to keep everybody safe and warm.
A correctional center in Saskatoon is expanding its services. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. A new Indigenous-inspired bus wrap will soon be on Edmonton city streets. Edmonton Transit partnered with Edmonton Aboriginal Senior Centre to create this beautiful design. It features bright colors and images of sweetgrass and teepees. And the wrap was inspired by stories and experiences Indigenous seniors and elders have shared with the city.
Having the bus out there is a way for us to let all community know that we're a senior centre that honors and respects all traditions.
Edmonton Transit says it hopes that people are inspired to learn more about Indigenous history when they see the bus. It says the bus wrap is a visible reflection of reconciliation in action in Edmonton. The Saskatoon Provincial Correctional Centre recently held a ceremony to unveil its new expansion. With a new kitchen, medical spaces, and units, dignitaries and media were invited for an up-close and personal look. APTN video journalist Rachel May toured the upgraded facility.
A recovery-oriented system of care is really about providing a holistic approach to each individual's unique needs, as opposed to painting everybody with the same brush or having the same service provided to everybody who may not need the exact same treatment.
Saskatchewan's Justice Minister Tim MacLeod unveiled a $135 million 312-bed expansion to the provincial corrections facility. The expansion includes a new clinic with optometry and dental services, video court suites, and space for outside agencies to provide cultural supports. Addiction treatment is also a key priority, with programming aimed at supporting rehabilitation and successful reintegration. MacLeod says it's important that corrections facilities incorporate addictions, cultural, and rehabilitation programming so inmates have the support they need to return to their communities.
Making sure that we can wrap supports around them, the people that they interact with every day, the community supports that they have access to each and every day, making sure that everybody is pulling together to help that individual address those underlying concerns so that we can get them out of that life of addiction, get them out of that life of criminal activity and into a healthier place.
Director of the Saskatchewan Correctional Centre, Tammy Holmes, says she is proud that the facility is becoming a place for healing.
We do have a lot of partnerships with the Saskatoon Tribal Council, John Howard Society, straight up. With this additional space, there's no barriers to them coming in and doing that meaningful one-to-one work. There's space on the units for them to come in, so it'll just really foster our partnerships and help with the release back into the community.
Prior to the expansion, overcrowding prevented programming rooms from being used for their intended purpose. Now with the expansion, each unit has dedicated programming rooms to provide supports in a safe space and help inmates prepare for success before returning to the community.
Addictions, poverty, homelessness, just kind of the cost of living and not having those coping skills. So having the extra program space allows us to do programming that addresses these risk factors, teaches them life skills, housing applications, finding that housing support, identification, basic life skills that a lot of these individuals are lacking as a result of the times and rising costs of living.
The facility is already housing inmates, but the remaining services, including medical and kitchen, are expected to be fully operational by mid-November. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
We now want to tell you about this week's third web poll question, or 3 web poll questions. Our first question we ask, with Parliament sitting again, do you think federal politicians will be able to work together to lower the price of housing and food? You can answer yes, no, or unsure. Our second question we ask, do you think communities should have the power to cut off their territory to non-Indigenous and sport hunters? Again, you can answer yes, no, or unsure. And our third question, should the federal government be forced to negotiate with the National Children's Chief Commission? Again, you can answer aha, yes, namoya, no, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca to have your say. We will post the results next Monday. A school board in Ontario has recently made the decision to not fly the Every Child Matters flag at many of their schools. Storyteller and artist Isaac Murdoch is up next to talk more about it. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Fredericton 26, Halifax 22. Happy Valley, Goose Bay 8, Cartwright 8. St. Jovite 26, Gaspé 15. North Bay 9, Sarnia 26. Big Trout Lake 13, 12 in Thunder Bay and sunny. Churchill 12, Thompson 13. Princess Harbor 18, Winnipeg 17 and partly cloudy. Swift Current 21, Yorkton 15. 22 in Stony Rapids, Meadow Lake 13 and smoky. Sunny in Fort Chipewyan at 23, Peace River 24. 28 in Calgary, Lethbridge 30. 20 in Quesnel, Bella Coola 13. Sand Spit 15 and rain, Smithers 17 and sunny. Beaver Creek 7, Whitehorse showers and 10. Watee 18, Norman Wells 13. Fort McPherson 4, Colville Lake sunny and 12. Arviat 15, Chesterfield 10. And the Iqaluit 6 and sunny, Aglulik 2 and rain. The National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is held at the end of September every year. And all month long, people and organizations honor the lives lost at residential schools and the survivors through educational campaigns. Orange shirts and flags can also be seen in most communities in support of the day. But one Catholic school district in Southern Ontario has decided to not fly the Every Child Matters flag at their 151 schools with more than 71,000 students, many of those students being Indigenous. We recently spoke to Isaac Murdoch. He's a visual artist who visits schools to teach children about Indigenous culture and history. Here's that interview. Isaac Murdoch, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us. We learned about the Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board's decision to not fly the Every Child Matters flag through you. How did you find this out, and what do you think about the decision that was made here?
It was found out just through my contacts and with people that I know in that community. And it actually wasn't the Dufferin-Peel Catholic School Board that said no. It was actually the 10 trustees that made a decision that said no. So Dufferin-Peel Catholic School Board goes above and beyond to ensure that Indigenous schools and students are looked after well. It was the trustees. And there was 10 trustees that made this decision. One of them voted no. The flag should go up. These nations have a right to put up their flag. 9 of them voted and said no. And actually, one trustee actually said that they're covered in the Song of Canada, our home and native land. And they said, so no, they don't get anything extra. So it's really, for me, it's not just racism, but it's systemic racism that's still built into society that's reflecting through the trustees.
With this decision made, this recent decision, what is your reaction to this, and what do you think needs to be done now?
Well, I think that number one, as nations, we have every right to put our flags up that represent our people. And right now we have anywhere between 75 to 90% of our people in those school systems. And of course, we're still dealing with missing and murdered Indigenous women and children and peoples. We're dealing with the impacts of residential schools. We're dealing with the strong impacts of the CAS and how they have put our families into deficit. And we have every right to create awareness, to raise our flags, and to say, hey, there's an alarm bell ringing here and something's wrong. And we know that that's going to be changed through the education systems. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, we have every right to do that. And by these trustees making this decision that we're not allowed is a complete infringement on our inherent rights to govern ourselves on our own lands.
Do you think it's also a slap in the face towards the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to actions?
100%. Like, how can these trustees actually say you can't fly your flag? And that's just not the Every Child Matters flag. That's nationhood flags as well. And so I think that it's a complete, utter disgrace. I think it stems out of racism, and it's totally uncalled for, and there needs to be an intervention.
Many of the government-funded Indian residential schools were run by the Catholic Church. The late Pope Francis apologized in 2022 for the Church's role in these genocidal institutions. Despite not waiting to fly this flag, the Duffer and Peel Catholic District School Board, like you said, does have an Indigenous Educational Council that provides input on Indigenous education. Do you think they need to go further here, or is that enough?
No, I think that this is a society issue. And so somebody like as myself, who was actually taken away at the age of 5 by Indian agents, there's still a lot of systemic issues. And I think that society is the one that's to blame here, because the trustees are voted by society. And so there's still systemic issues within society. So that's what we got to change. But I also think too that as nations, we also have a say as to what happens in these institutions. These institutions get a lot of money from the government on our behalf, which is our money. And I think that it's unfair, it's unequitable, and it's also, but again, it's not always our problem to fix. Canada needs to fix itself. You know what I mean? Like, why do we always have to be the ones to go to the media, you know, do the protest, try to make policy reform? Canada needs to get involved. If they're an actual partner, a nation-to-nation relationship, they need to get involved and start fixing themselves. This can't just continue on like this, especially when we're dealing with an issue that's so contentious and so blatantly racist. Canada needs to do its work to stop this. And so I believe that that's a better approach as opposed to having the school fix it. I think it's society needs to fix itself.
Isaac Murdoch, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.
Let's do this.
APTN National News did reach out to the Duffer and Peel Catholic District School Board for comment, but did not hear back before airtime. And that's your daytime newscast for this Friday. TR Wheatley is back in a few hours with your evening newscast. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News Daytime, thank you so much for joining us each day, and we'll see you again next week. Have a safe weekend with family. Excellent.